The Eternal Word, exploring John 1:1-3. Welcome to today's exploration of one of the most significant passages in the New Testament, found in the opening of the Gospel of John. John 1:1-3 introduces us to profound theological concepts that form the cornerstone of Christian belief. These verses invite us to delve deep into the nature of Jesus Christ, the creative and sustaining power of God, and the eternal significance of the Word. In the beginning of John's Gospel, we encounter the term Word, translated from the Greek logos. This term holds a rich tapestry of meanings, carrying with it not just the idea of spoken or written communication, but a fundamental principle that underlies the universe's existence. Historically, Logos was a concept familiar to both Jews and Greeks, representing divine wisdom and reason, an intermediary between God and the world. In using this term, John bridges the cultural and philosophical gaps, making his message accessible and relevant to diverse audiences. The passage begins, "In the beginning was the Word," a statement that asserts the eternal presence of Jesus Christ. This echoes the opening of Genesis, the biblical account of creation, and asserts Jesus' presence before time itself. Unlike anything in creation which has a beginning, Jesus existed before time, emphasizing his divine nature. This challenges us to comprehend the eternal existence of Christ, who wasn't brought into being, but rather always was, inviting us to marvel at the infinity of his nature. John continues, "And the Word was with God," indicating an intimate relationship within the Godhead. This is not merely a statement of presence, but one of perfect communion, suggesting a living and dynamic connection. It's a profound declaration of relational unity, where the Word exists in a divine partnership with God the Father. This close association within the Godhead is crucial for understanding the Christian doctrine of the Trinity, which perceives God as three distinct persons in one divine essence. John asserts unequivocally, "And the Word was God." This statement might seem paradoxical. How can the Word both be with God and be God? Yet it stands as a cornerstone of Christian doctrine, challenging believers to grasp the mystery of the Incarnation. Jesus as fully divine, fully God. This identity isn't shared or diminished. It's a bold claim of Jesus' supreme and unchanging divine essence. Understanding these verses invites us into the complex theology of the Trinity, one God in three persons. The Father, Son, and Holy Spirit exist in eternal, co-equal communion. The Word, identified as Jesus, is integral to this divine nature. The passage emphasizes this unity and diversity, laying a foundation for later theological developments in Christianity. The Trinity, while a mystery, is a relational dynamic of love that extends to creation itself. The phrase, "Through him all things were made," underscores the Word's central role in creation. This situates Jesus at the heart of God's creative work, not as an assistant, but as the divine agent through which the cosmos came into existence. Everything that exists bears the mark of his handiwork, signifying his authority and involvement in all of creation's complexity and beauty. This understanding roots Jesus not merely in redemption, but in the origin and purpose of life itself. John further clarifies, "Without him, nothing was made that has been made," affirming Jesus' position above and outside the created order. This statement reiterates his preeminence and refutes any notion that he himself is a created being. Instead, it shows his sovereignty and eternal nature, positioning him as the life-giving source, not subject to the limitations of the created universe. Some interpretations mistakenly view Jesus as part of creation, a view these verses decisively counter. The idea that Jesus could have been created undermines his divinity and eternal existence, concepts central to Christian faith. By emphasizing his uncreated nature, John dispels these misconceptions and affirms his pre-existent divine status, which is critical for understanding his role and identity. Beyond creation, the Word's role as a sustainer of life is emphasized. Jesus isn't just the origin of life, but its sustainer. His divine presence upholds the universe, providing continuity, order, and purpose. This ongoing role shows his intimate involvement with the world and his provision of life-sustaining power, inviting believers to trust in his providence and care. The narrative of creation through the Word is intrinsically linked to redemption. The incarnate Word, Jesus, embodies God's plan not only to create, but to redeem and restore. His dual role as creator and redeemer highlights the continuity between the Old and New Covenants, reflecting God's unchanging purpose to bring creation into harmonious communion with Himself. These verses have deep theological implications. They form the basis for understanding Christ's divinity, the nature of the Godhead, and the purpose of creation. This theological foundation supports essential doctrines like the nature of Christ, the Trinity, and the relationship between God and the world. Understanding this enriches the believer's appreciation of Jesus' divine identity and his mission. While these verses provide insight, they also highlight the mystery of God's nature. The Trinity and the Incarnation are profound mysteries beyond full human comprehension, inviting believers to engage with faith and humility. This divine mystery draws us closer to awe and reverence, enhancing our spiritual journey as we seek to understand the unfathomable depths of God's nature. Reflecting on these verses encourages believers to deepen their faith. Recognizing Jesus' eternal existence and divine nature prompts worship and a more profound commitment to his teachings. Believers are invited to trust in his sustaining power and engage more fully with his redemptive mission, finding purpose and direction in their spiritual lives. In conclusion, John 1:1-3 is a profound testament to the divine nature of Jesus Christ, his foundational role in creation, and his eternal existence. These verses challenge us to embrace the mystery of the Word, urging us to deepen our faith and understanding of Christ's transformative power in the world. As we ponder these truths, we are invited into a richer, more meaningful relationship with God through Jesus. To facilitate further thought, here are some questions to reflect on. 1. What does it mean for your faith that Jesus existed before all creation? 2. How does understanding Jesus as the sustainer of life impact your daily life? 3. In what ways can these verses encourage deeper worship and devotion? To enrich this exploration, consider visual elements. Artistic depictions of the creation narrative. Diagrams illustrating the concept of the Trinity. Graphics illustrating the concept of logos in various cultural contexts. Having explored the rich tapestry of John 1:1-3, the journey can continue with examining the broader themes of John's Gospel or delving into other New Testament writings. This foundational understanding paves the way to explore Christ's role throughout biblical history and within the life of the Church. We encourage you to delve deeper into the Gospel of John and other biblical texts, allowing these verses to enrich your faith and understanding continually. Whether through personal study or community discussion, let this exploration transform your knowledge and experience of the divine. While we focused on a traditional understanding of these verses, it's worth recognizing that different Christian traditions may have varied interpretations. Engaging with these perspectives can further enrich our understanding of this profound passage. The Gospel of John was written against a backdrop of diverse religious and philosophical ideas. Understanding this context helps appreciate the boldness of John's claims about Jesus, offering insight into early Christianity's challenges and opportunities. John's thematic introduction stands in contrast to the more narrative introductions of Matthew, Mark, and Luke. Exploring these differences reveals John's unique perspective on Jesus' divine identity and mission. John's Gospel, with its emphasis on the divine word, significantly influenced early Christian thought and doctrine, shaping how communities understood Jesus' relationship with the Father. Beyond theology, the Logos concept has influenced both religious and secular thought, shaping philosophical discourse about reason, existence, and divine order. John's use of Logos connects with Greek philosophical traditions, highlighting the intersection of faith and reason. This connection opens discussions about how early Christians engaged with the culture around them. John 1:1-3 draws connections with Old Testament creation narratives, particularly Genesis 1, illustrating the continuity of God's creative and redemptive purposes throughout biblical history. For educators and leaders, effectively presenting this topic involves connecting theological concepts with practical applications, fostering a space for questions and engagement. Exploring academic perspectives on these verses provides a deeper appreciation of their complexity and significance, revealing ongoing scholarly dialogue about their meaning and implications. As a personal devotion, meditate on the eternal nature and creative power of the Word, inviting transformation and insight into your spiritual life. As we conclude, consider exploring further topics such as the Incarnation, the nature of the Trinity, or the role of Christ in New Testament theology, all of which build upon the foundation laid by understanding John 1:1-3. Let this journey inspire ongoing learning and worship.